So going on to the next topic, speaking of defenses and big plays, who is going to be the biggest difference maker for Utah when they take on Arizona at Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday at 2 p.m.? Cole?
I know that I talked about the quarterback and the wide receiver combo being the season MVP, but I think this is one of the games that the defense has the opportunity to be the biggest difference maker. This is not only a great warm-up for the defense, and I'd say this is one of the weaker Pac-12 teams, and especially potentially the worst Pac-12 South team. I think it's between them and Colorado.
It is.
But the offense should have their way in this game, and I think it will be up to defense to keep the Wildcat offense off the field, so Utah can pull away and make this an easy first game. I'd say that this, along with UCLA, I think these two games are where the defense are going to have their opportunity to make the biggest difference, especially against Arizona.
Yeah, I agree, but I think the Utah defense is going to be the biggest difference maker in this game. I can see where it's going to be a lot of the offense, but this is going to be really important for this Utah defense. I want to see how they're going to start the season off because honestly, I have a feeling that however they start the season, that's going to be the tone for a good chunk of it. I'm still a little nervous as to how the defense is going to react to things, especially hearing some of the things that Kyle has said at camp, especially about the secondary. I'm not worried about the linebackers anymore. I've never been worried about the defensive line. I'm still I'm concerned about the secondary, but my concern level is not like panic, sound the alarm, this is going to be end terribly for us. It's more of okay, so we all know they're young and they haven't had a lot of game experience, so we'll see how this goes. But we've already talked about it, and I've mentioned it before. Utah's so used to relying on their defense to win games, and they're not going to be able to do that, I think, this game. They might be able to, given how Arizona plays, because Arizona is not the best. They had Khalil Tate is gone this year, and they're playing Grant Gunnell, which I haven't done my pregame research on him yet, but I still think he's not the level of Khalil Tate. Plus, they're replacing J.J. Taylor, who was their workhorse. But I think this game is going to set the tone for this Utah defense for a good chunk of the season. And that's the difference maker for me.
Yeah, no, Sammy, I'm with you there. I think this provides a great opportunity for the defense because it's not like they're going in first game with how many freshmen are on defense too. It's not like they're stepping into a gauntlet. It's not like they're facing USC and for the first, and for a lot of these guys that's the first game. Thank goodness.
I've said it once, and I'll say it however many times I need to say it. Utah got dealt a very good hand with starting the season with Arizona and UCLA. That is a great 2 games to start with, and then you go into your gauntlet. You go in and you have USC and Arizona State back to back. They got blessed with having those 2 games first because it's going to allow this young defense to get their feet underneath of them.
Yeah, I mean, when you lose a secondary of Blackman and Johnson and Burgess, it's hard to replace that right away. I mean,
it's going to take time.
It will take time. It could take a couple seasons, 1 or 2 seasons. But with how this year is set up, 6 or 7 games, I still think Utah is one of the favorites to potentially take the Pac-12. It's a good opportunity. Arizona was 4-7, 2-6 last year in the conference. The Utes toasted them 35-7, and they only scored late in the fourth quarter
with a young secondary, with our second string.
Right, and so with not much improvement on Arizona's end, this should be, like we talked about, a good warm up, an opportunity for the defense to get rolling and get some college experience. We've got some young guys, and I think it's going to be good for them.
I also think this Utah football team is going to benefit so much from the NCAA eligibility clocks being frozen. They're going to benefit from this so much because not only do you get these freshmen that can play this entire season, all 6 games, all 7 games, and get that experience, and you don't have to risk putting a red shirt on them or only letting them play 4 games before you rip off before that you have to put a red shirt on them. This is going to benefit this Utah team for years to come, because all these freshmen, so Clark Phillips, he's going to be a freshman again next year. Same with Xavier Carlton. Same with Van. They're all going to be freshmen again next year, and they're going to have this game time experience. When you have a regular 12-game season, I just don't know how to explain how important this is for this Utah team, especially a defense that is focused so much on reloading after losing so many players to the NFL. And it's going to help it. It's not just going to help the freshmen. It's going to help all of the team. Like, your offensive line is just going to get stronger. Your wide receivers are just going to get better. Your quarterbacks are just going to get better. This entire thing. Utah, I don't think there's any other Pac-12 school that kind of benefits at the way that Utah does with this experience, with the eligibility clocks being frozen for this year.
But yeah, you pointed out a couple names there. I think Xavier Carlton being someone who can greatly benefit from this extra year of eligibility. In a press conference the other day, he made a comment about, what's the biggest difference from high school to college. And now he's only had the experience of training camp, but he said, this is a 6'6" guy, right? About
he's
200.
Huge.
He's huge. I didn't realize how big he was till I saw a picture of him standing next to another player who I think is 6 feet tall. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's a beast. And I think he's pushing 230 pounds or more.
Oh yeah. And I know what you're talking about, because he went to Juan Diego, which is where I graduated from. So I know the level of competition that he was playing up against.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said that he was lining up against 5'7" dudes, he's not exaggerating. Juan Diego's in 3A, which don't even get me started. Juan Diego's in 3A for football, but 4A for everything else. Don't even get me started on that, because I could just go on a tangent for hours about how messed up that is. But he also, you guys got to remember, he transferred just for his senior year. He played his freshman through junior year in California against some really good talent.
Mm-hmm.
So Xavier's one. I think Xavier's going to benefit from this. I think Van's going to benefit from this. I think Clark's going to benefit from it. I think Money's going to benefit. I think Ty Jordan's going to benefit. Those are the 5 that I think we will see the most benefit from.
Yeah, and I think those are the 5 we're going to see the most from as far as freshmen go.
We'll see Richie too.
Yeah, him as well. And so it's such a weird year, because it's almost like this season is.
It counts, but it doesn't count.
Right. It's almost like your off season, but your training camp is against other teams, which is good. And like Xavier was talking about, now he's got to add, your opponent's adding probably a foot plus 75 to 100 pounds. So it's gonna be good, and especially Sammy, this first game against Arizona, it's a nice little warm up. It's a bunt, and hopefully they settle in.